Hi, and welcome to Zoomcation Bible School. I'm Pastor Charlotte, and I'm the pastor of Kingston Presbyterian Church, and we're really glad that you're here today. Hopefully, you got a little bag, and if you didn't, you just email me, and I'll make sure that you get some of these things. So in the bag, we're so glad you're here, is a bingo sheet that says, Feet That Follow. This will help us mark the ways that we follow Jesus, the ways that we're like Jesus, the ways that we're kind, the ways that we look for people who need help, and the ways that we share love. Every time you do a box, you get to mark it off. And when you've gotten a bingo, or even if you get the whole sheet, you let me know, and there's a prize for you. Now, there's that sheet. There's also a flat Jesus. Here's my flat Jesus. I like it when he comes on journeys with me. So I like to take pictures of flat Jesus in different places I've been. That's that. And then this one is another coloring sheet that says, Awesome are your feet. They follow Jesus. So that's pretty fun as well, right? So that's a coloring sheet for you to do later. But make sure that you and your family or you and some friends are doing your bingo sheet together. That'll be fun. There's also a journal in your bag as well. Or you can make your own journal by putting a bunch of sheets of paper together and keeping track of places where you see kindness, where you see people helping other people, and where you see love being acted out by yourself or by others. And this is where we keep those. We just mark them down, or you can make a picture of it. So if you saw a fireman, you could draw a picture of a fireman. Or if you saw someone being extra kind and helping someone, you could draw a picture of that. Maybe a mom or a neighbor, or someone dropping off food for someone who's being, who can't go out because they have extra caution cares. You could draw a picture of somebody wearing a mask. That's a way to be kind too, so that we love our neighbors that way, right? So that's something that you keep right here. Now, what else do we have? You might also find some fish snacks that'll tell you that's the theme of the day, fish. So there are a couple, there is a Bluefoot, so that you can remember that your feet are following Jesus. Keep calm, follow Jesus. And there's a ball with lots of feet on it because, well, sometimes we get to walk fast, sometimes we get to walk slow, but we always are following Jesus. We're hoping that our feet are gonna keep following Jesus. And then we have two other crafts in there. But first, let's play a game. You and I take turns thinking about going on a journey, thinking about making our way somewhere. Well, let's follow Jesus and make our way somewhere. Let's think about it. My name is Pastor Charlotte, and so if I was going on a journey, I would take a pepperoni salad, because that takes the first letter of pastor and the first letter of Charlotte, and that's my name. So if your name is Audrey, what would you take? Maybe apples. If your name is Damani, you might take donuts. If your name is Catherine, you might take a car. If your name's Courtney, you might take some carrots. You never know. What about Connor? I bet you Connor would take cars, right? But he might also take some cartoons. Let's see, what other names can we think of? Marie said she would take money. Maybe Karen would take a kangaroo. Let's see, Austin. Maybe he would take asparagus. Or an astronaut with him on his journey. Who would you maybe take that matches your first letter of your name? Or when you go on a journey, what do you like to take on your journey? You can play this with your family at dinner and keep asking, I'm going on a journey and I'm gonna take porcupine soup because I'm Pastor Charlotte. Okay, let's move on. So, that's a fun game to think about being on a journey. Now, people in biblical times, in Jesus' times, even before Jesus' times, they used all kinds of different things to go on their journeys, didn't they? Can we think of some Bible stories that have some different things and ways that people traveled? Let's think together. Well, donkeys, absolutely. How about horses? You're right, feet, absolutely. There are arks. Noah took an ark. Some people rode camels. How about Jonah? What did Jonah travel in? A stinky whale. Yeah, I wouldn't want to travel in a whale either. There are lots of ways to travel. Moses travels in a basket when he's a baby. There are lots of ways to travel, lots of ways to follow, lots of ways to move. This morning's Bible story talks about fishermen. How did they travel? You're right, by boat. So Jesus is been baptized, he was out in the desert, and now he's ready to look for some friends. First he needs to find some helpers and some friends, he says. He has a lot to do. He would need some people to help him. Who would be good helpers? Who do you think? Clever ones? Rich ones? Strong? Important ones? Some people might think so, but I'm not sure now. You don't need people to tell you they'd be wrong, because the people God uses don't have to know a lot of things or have a lot of things. They just need him. One day Jesus was walking along the Sea of Galilee when he saw some brothers and friends mending their ships, and they were poor fishermen, and Jesus cried out to them, "Let's go." Here's the picture. Jesus is on the shore, and here are the fishermen with their nets, and here are some more fishermen in their boats fishing. Peter, Andrew, James, and John looked up at this man on the shore. They're looking up at Jesus. And they couldn't explain it. Their boats needed to be put away, their nets needed to be mended, fish were still wiggling on the shore, but something about the stranger made them just drop their nets and their fish, leave their boats and everything and follow him. He was the Son of God. He was a man like no other. They just looked at him and their hearts were full of wonderful and forever sort of happiness. Inside, it was as if they were running free on an open field. Jesus asked 12 men all together to be his helpers. Peter, Andrew, James and John, Matthew, Philip, Bartholomew, James, another James. Oh, Mr. Fish is down. Thomas, Simon, Thaddeus. Oh, Mr. Fish, hang out. It's okay. You're good. Oh, maybe not. Mr. Fish is going to take a nap. No big deal. Judas. All of those were Jesus' followers. All of those were Jesus' friends. Now, those are only the 12 disciples, and those are all boys' names, but there were a lot of girls who followed Jesus too. God's children, they're full of everybody, and they look like you and they look like me. We can think of all kinds of other people. We can think of Phoebe. We can think of Anna. We can think of Mary and Martha. Absolutely. Lots of people followed Jesus. And they made sure that people who had needs, people who were hurting, were helped. And they also made sure that people knew how much God loved them. This is a story about following Jesus and those who chose to follow him, just like we do when we play Follow the Leader. We do what the leader does. And just like Jesus, when we follow Jesus, we do what Jesus does, which is find people who need help, help those who are hurting, and make sure that people know they're loved. Isn't that cool? I really like that. Now, we have a craft in our bag, and I want you to pull out the pipe cleaner and the beads. So you're gonna see the pipe cleaner, and you're gonna see a couple of really big, kind of greenish beads. Can you see them? Those are actually glow in the dark. So we're gonna take those and we're gonna put those on first. On they go, down towards the middle. Now your pipe cleaner is folded in half, or it should be, and that's a good way to go. So you wanna put both of your glow in the darks in the middle of your pipe cleaner. And then you wanna divide the rest of the beads in your bag and just start putting them on each side. So one on this side, one on that side. One on this side, oh, one on that side. So you just keep going, keep going. If you wanna pause me, feel free. Keep going. I'd love to see a picture when you get done. Can you send it to me, or have your mom or dad or one of your guardians send it to me? I'd love to see it. So you're just gonna keep on going and keep on going. And when you're done, you're gonna twist it at the very end, and it becomes a fish, just like the fisherman that we learned about today. Now the other thing about the fish is that the fish is an old-time symbol of those who follow Jesus. If you were coming down the road and you needed to know if somebody else followed Jesus, you would make a big curve, just like a rainbow. And you would just make it in the ground, just make it on the ground. And if somebody else was a follower of Jesus, they'd take another rainbow and put it with it. And the next thing you knew, you both knew you followed Jesus. And it made a fish. So the sign of the fish has always been, from the very beginning, a sign of following Jesus. Isn't that cool? So there you go. You've made a fish. Excellent. Now, there's another craft in your bag. Did you find it? Let's make this one together. You should have a bag of beans. And in your bean bag, there should be some googly eyes. Did you find the eyes? Set those guys aside. Off you go. Now, you'll also find, well, what is this? It's got a little band on it. Let's hold on to the band, put it on a finger, and then unroll this, and it's a sock. What? Take the sock, and let's put some beans in it. So we're just gonna keep putting beans in the sock. Keep putting beans in the sock. If you drop a bean, pick it up. You don't want your dogs or your cats or a baby sister or somebody else to find the bean. So keep filling up the sock, keep filling it up. You want to go a little bit more than half. Oops, Pastor Charles dropping beans. Okay, keep picking them up. I'll get those later. I don't want Mr. Payton to eat them off the floor. He doesn't eat things off the floor, just teasing. Okay, so we're gonna keep putting beans in. And what did you make? Almost halfway there. What did you make? Right now it just looks like a bean bag. Well, it is a bean bag. But when you get a little bit more than halfway full, you wanna take the hairband and you wanna wrap it once, twice, 3 times to keep those beans really in there, okay? Now, there you go. And then you're gonna squish out the beans, squish out the beans, squish out the beans. Okay. And you'll need a grown-up's help, but you're gonna glue the eyeball onto the sock. So there's my blue one. What do you think? And here's the pink one I made earlier. Isn't that pretty cute? So it's a bean bag, but it's shaped like a fish that helps us remember that we're followers of Jesus. Now, I would suggest that you play a game with bean bags. You could put a bowl in the middle of your living room and see how far back you can go before you toss it, how many steps back you can go. You could take it outside and toss it with a friend. You could have a whole school of fish. So I love fish, and I love remembering that I'm a follower of Jesus, that they help me do that. So friends, I hope you like your fish, and I hope that you remember how awesome you are and how much Jesus loves you. Thanks for coming to Zoomcation today. We'll see you next week.